How you feeling?
Good, thank you.
Good. Thanks for making the trip down from Palo Alto.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. It's fun.
Yeah. Have you met some cool people here so far?
Yeah, the energy is really, really good.
Good, good, good. So I thought we would kick things off, Gabe, as we get everybody sort of settled and into their seats. Maybe just hear a little bit about your personal story and how that kind of led you to get into crypto.
So we started the company 10.5 years ago, MachineZone.
Okay.
We're a Y Combinator company. Hello, hello, hello. Sure. How about that? Better? Better? Thank you. I appreciate it. So we started the company 10 years ago in Palo Alto. Very meager beginnings. Probably shouldn't get too far into that, but I guess kind of a classic Silicon Valley
We like ramen stories, though.
Yeah, it's about as ramen as it gets.
Okay.
I was on unemployment and all that. We are a Y Combinator company in 2007, and we raised various venture funds, venture money from Ron Conway and JP Morgan and Anthos and Menlo Ventures. We're about 1,000 employees in Palo Alto, in a long road,
Yeah.
10.5 years. And we've been building this platform that we're going to talk about, Satori, for the past 6 now. It's been 6 years. 6 years in the making. It powers all of our games. It powers a lot of our marketing technology. And we started looking into adopting it to the crypto market last year.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to make a big difference in the space.
Great. So just as a headline message, what do people most need to know about Satori?
My view that distributed ledger technology is, its first use case was a cryptocurrency balancing a distributed ledger across untrusted machines. And recently, in the past couple of years, those machines started performing basic compute functions with smart contracts and if-then statements. So my view on distributed ledger technology is actually a neural network. And as the neural network speeds up, meaning consensus gets faster, the neural network will be able to perform faster and faster compute functions, which is, right now, we're in the smart contract.
Excuse me, gentlemen, the lobs aren't really working too well. Use a mic. There you go. No problem.
There we go. That's loud. Should we start over? That's Gabe. I'm Cory, CEO of MachineZone. There we go. Yeah, MachineZone.
Okay, can you hear me? No?
Your mic is not on.
All right, there we go. That'll work. So the high level is that I believe that the distributed ledger technology is actually a neural network, and as consensus gets faster inside of the decentralized network, the network will be able to perform higher end compute functions. And we start with keeping track of a ledger, and then we move into simple if-then statements with smart contracts. And now that you're seeing consensus speeds go up with particularly like Hashgraph and a couple of others at 500,000 consensus per second, you're going to see dApps, finally, real dApps, and real software being built on this neural network that we look at as a cryptocurrency ecosystem, but in my view, it's actually a neural network. And this neural network is going to become a computer that can perform very high-end functions in concert with every machine on the planet. So what I think we're actually doing here, what I think the distributed ledger actually is a neural network. Not something that keeps track of a cryptocurrency, although that's important, but that's actually a basic function. It's smart contracts, and what Satori is a decentralized AI mesh. So what we're going to start seeing now that consensus is faster is what we'll demo to you shortly are things like machine vision in these platforms. So very complex computing is about to come thanks to faster consensus in the blockchain or just DAGs or various consensus protocols.
Great. And I know you brought some videos, but before that, just so anyone who may not know anything about MachineZone, can you just describe just a little bit about some of your games and make sure you all know this company?
Like I said earlier when the mic wasn't working, we're about 1,000 employees in Palo Alto. You might know us from Game of War or Mobile Strike with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And we have a game right now called Final Fantasy 15 that we made with Final Fantasy 15: A New Empire that we made with Square Enix. We are the largest independent mobile game developer in the world. And we are also one of the largest, if not the largest, performance marketers in the world. We have about 300 employees dedicated just to performance marketing. So maybe I should have been on the last panel. So we know how to do that very, very well. But we also have our platform, Satori, which is around 80 people. And like I said earlier, we've been working on that for about 6 years.
Wow. Do we have some videos queued up?
Yeah, we do.
Check out a couple.
They're kind of fun. So what Satori is, Satori is a decentralized AI mesh. So what does that mean? I want to be able to, the video's not playing, but the goal of the product is essentially, it's like high frequency trading, but for the internet. So some high level stats of Satori is, first one is 500 million messages per second. This is not consensus driven. This is, think of it like I'm an HFT firm, and I could push 500 million messages a second. That's 1 million subscribers at 100 bytes, 500 million messages a second. I mean, we're talking about incredible volume, just ridiculous volume. Because the way that when we built this, we said, is I want to work with the internet the same way a high-frequency trader works with an exchange. I want to be able to subscribe to the internet, which is a really wild idea, and be able to automate responses to the data that I'm seeing flowing through the internet, which is really high concept. So we can also keep hundreds of millions of open connections, meaning that all the nodes in the network are able to speak to each other through a real-time mesh. We can process binary file, structured data, audio data, or video data through this, and we can run decentralized processing on that stream. So what that means is if one of the demo video is working, there we go. So this is a fun little demo that we put together. It's a very simple demo. So how I think of it is that Satori is going to read and write the internet in real time, the whole thing. Meaning I want to look at all of the data that's going across all of the ISPs, look at it, get a real-time view of everything on the internet at once, and I'm going to have AI respond to everything that's happening on the internet. Sounds really crazy. So here's an example, like an expression of what that is. So what you're looking at is something that we call big RSS. We wrote a web crawler that subscribed to every single RSS feed on the internet, like literally every single one. There's about 10 million of them. And what you're seeing is a real-time view of every single update inside the RSS protocol. So we've collapsed the protocol of RSS. We've turned it into a single feed. And what you're seeing right now is that anytime RSS updates with Trump, you get a real-time view of any news article written on the RSS protocol that mentions Trump. And all you got to do is write a SQL query. So here's an example of us keeping an open connection with 10 million different RSS feeds. We were able to accept information from them, and then we were able to write code inside that stream, in this example, which is a simple example of a SQL query, where we can parse that information or apply logic to that information in real time. So what Satori lets you do is that you publish, it's very simple actually. You just publish information into it. There's a bot store inside of the platform, and you just turn bots on and off and start processing the information. And those bots will be running on your PCs at home. So where I see the crypto world going is, while I think cryptocurrencies are really, really interesting and they're vital and they're going to change the world, I think the distributed ledger technology, like I stated before, is really just a neural network. And these machines are going to start performing immense calculations together, not just keeping track of the ledger. So here's just a simple example of us subscribing to the whole RSS protocol, shrinking it down into one feed, and then working with it in real time.
Yeah. Very, very, very cool. So I know this has been a massive and sort of long-running effort to build Satori. Can you talk a little bit about some of the other folks and some of the team that's been building it?
Yeah. It started 6 years ago where I wanted to create a chat room that 1 million people could talk in at the same time. I wanted to make a world chat for the whole game. And then it turned into the back end for Game of War. And if we go to the next video, you'll actually see that we can do the same processes with live video. So here's an example. It's a team of 80 people that we have working on this. Like I said, 6 years. This is a live video camera that you could just get off the internet of Vancouver. And all we do is, once again, subscribe to that video, and then we just apply logic to that stream with a simple, it's a literally on-off button for different bots, different logic. And that logic runs in a decentralized mesh where we're able to do this machine vision, where we're labeling things in real time. There's no database in this system. This is all done in real time. I can do this on your PC. I can do some of these functions on your cell phone. And we're able to perform advanced machine vision in a decentralized manner. So when I think about where things are going, think about for a second, but what happens when you put a smart contract in a video camera? Right? That's pretty wild.
So what happens?
You think about a world where like identity and video and payments or all of these things are combined in real time, right? And that's where we're headed. So this is a simple example of like taking things to the next level. So in one way we're subscribing to all of our RSS, and here we're subscribing just to a video camera. But this is a very serious effort. This is a lot to build. All of our games run on this platform. A lot of our marketing tech runs on this platform. So it was needed internally inside the company. So we were willing to spend and invest in this idea for a long time. We've also been working with we'll see some of it, I guess. We've been, the Satori platform has been working with the country of New Zealand for the past 4 years. And we are running a large part of the IoT infrastructure of New Zealand through this, and we have a real-time view of a lot of different aspects of that country, and we're automating a lot of interesting responses across their IoT infrastructure. But it's a very big project, and we've invested a lot of time and money into this.
So you basically built something so powerful for your games that it ended up being something that could run cities?
Yeah, it's kind of like you run the city the same way you run a video game in a lot of ways.
Got it.
Yeah.
Let's see. So just to put some sort of numbers on it, you touched on a few, but just thinking about the processing power and sort of the capabilities of Satori, like how many transactions per second? I think you used the term ordered messages per second.
Yeah, so
like,
this was built like with financial trading in mind.
okay.
It was kind of built from a high-frequency trader's perspective, meaning a single channel, ordered message, guaranteed ordered messaging.
And why is that important?
Well, if you want to do like so this does more than just, we saw an example of like RSS, right? So think of high-frequency trading, but for all types of data. And if you're going to make, let's say, decisions on data that's coming in milliseconds across thousands and maybe even millions of different sources, you don't want to make a decision on something that's out of order, obviously. So you need to have structure inside the channel, so when you make that decision across that vast number of different sources, that you know that you're making the right decision at the right time.
Got it. Okay, so how many people here have ever traded crypto on an exchange? So like, that's great. Should be all of you, by the way, but we'll get there. That's what the conference is for.
That's a little bit weird.
That was like a third of the room. That's very disappointing. Anyway, if you trade crypto and the person next to you didn't raise their hand, like give them some crypto and teach them how to trade it. Yeah. What could Satori mean for like the world of decentralized exchanges? Like I know the IDEX guys are here. There's some of the 0x relays here in the audience. Like, what could it mean?
This is like a relay on steroids. At 500 million transactions per second in an ordered channel, you could essentially...
But still being decentralized.
Yeah, still being... You could essentially build an aggregation layer between every single exchange and blockchain in one channel. The same way that I take all of RSS and I put it all in one space, I could do the same thing with all of the messaging happening in the blockchain ecosystem, regardless of the protocol, if you will. Because you can actually just string them all together into one real-time space, which I think you get into some really interesting, if you're gonna write a trading bot, so how I would do that is I would take all the exchanges, subscribe to the APIs, put it into one channel, and then run pricing arbitrage across exchanges because they're not all the same price, right? So the idea of working with large ecosystems in a single space is what Satori is trying to do, which is essentially take the whole internet and collapse it into a single feed and then put logic against that feed.
It doesn't sound complicated at all.
It's pretty
All
complicated.
right, so let's make it harder.
It's pretty
so
complicated.
let's talk about your token. Explain a little bit about what it is, how you intend or sort of view it working, and then
Right.
also
So since we're running on an untrusted network, right? We spent a ton of money on data centers. We built like this. It was ultra centralized for the first 4.5 years, and but the reality is that the sandbox that runs the bot can pretty much run on any machine. We made sure that the processing happens on a commodity CPU hardware. Even the video that you're processing, you said, doesn't use a GPU. It's all done on CPU. And the price per minute, we're actually 24 times cheaper to process live video than what Amazon currently offers on AWS. But one of the problems with working on your laptop and my laptop is you don't necessarily know the system doesn't necessarily automatically know the capabilities of your laptop. So we have an interesting algorithm that we call proof of compute, which is essentially an AI puzzle that we give every machine. We lock the answer in the ledger, we embed the answer and encrypted in the ledger, and we unlock it when all the machines so I'll send a HD video to 20 machines. I'll say, how many cars do you see in that video? And I'd say, I see 7. Some machines will come back with 10, most machines will come back with 7, and then when it gets the right answer, you get a positive karma score. If you get the wrong answer, you get a negative karma score. And what it allows us to do is keep a real-time view of the capabilities of every machine in the network. And as machines get answers correct, meaning that I can give them a 4K live feed, and they could do something like facial detection, then I can reward it tokens as payment for solving the puzzle correctly. And then once I can trust the machine, and I know that what the machine is capable of, then I can submit tasks to it and pay it for actually performing machine vision on a camera.
Got it. So we talked about games, exchanges, smart cities. What are a couple of other use cases that you guys have already sort of thought through or piloted? And
so for like the really high level concepts I'm talking about are like super complex, and I've been thinking about this for 6 years, so I'll probably pull it back. Very simply, we're bringing streaming to the ecosystem, to the distributed ledger ecosystem, meaning that you'll be able to take your Logitech camera at home. Right now I have a Nest camera at home, and that's hooked up to Google, and Google sends me a push notification telling me that it sees me in the room. And I really don't like that. I don't like that Google is sending me a push notification that it sees me in my daughter's room. That's crazy, right? So you could take the Satori system, take any web camera, publish that camera into Satori, run it decentralized, a non-centralized network, meaning that there is no central source that controls all of this. It's only processed in real time, nothing is saved, okay? No, there's no saving, it's all like ephemeral. There's a key value store inside the channel, but think of it as an ephemeral network. The camera gets published, your Logitech camera gets published into Satori. You go and turn on some bots, like don't alert me because here's my face. Every time I walk into the room, don't alert me because you know who I am. Or if you see movement, please send this device a push notification or a text message. And you can get all of the same functions that you get out of these web-connected cameras without having to share your video with a centralized source, which we all know. I mean, I'm not going to say Google necessarily, but we all know that they're using for machine learning algorithms to help sell you stuff, right? So the idea of a privacy camera running on the internet, a camera that I can trust that nobody on the other end is controlling or saving, is such a big deal to me personally. I desperately want to build that because I don't want these monolithic companies knowing everything that's going on inside my house, but I really actually don't even have the option, right? What's our option? If we want those features, we really only have a couple companies to buy those from. So we can now get to a space where you could do those with a company-less camera, right? And I think that's just a simple concept that you can execute on Satori, and I think that's a really, really big deal, and I think that once those hit the market, people won't buy those other cameras anymore. They just won't.
That's really cool. How do you think about competition? Like, who would you put in that bucket, and why are you different?
So there's a couple people working on decentralized computing. Most of them are solving blockchain problems. We're not. So we are not a blockchain. We're a processing layer on top of a blockchain. So we use Hashgraph as a permissions layer. Hashgraph gives my network permission to start a task. It stores the karma scores inside of their ledger, and it pays out the tokens. It gives permission for the machines to get paid. Satori, once the task has been authorized by the very, very fast consensus layer of Hashgraph, then the Satori network takes over, and certain tasks don't need, if I'm running a video camera, I don't need 1,000 machines verifying. Although I could, think of it like a sort of like elastic consensus, where if it's a simple task, I'll just say, look, I'll take 2 machines, I'll compare the results, and I'll just trust them. If it's a critical task, I can perform the task across 1,000 machines, compare all the results, either take the average or have some rules set up where how I'm going to look at the results that I'm given from the network. So we're not trying to solve the blockchain problem, because there's some, Hashgraph is amazing, and it works, by the way. But I think that once we have fast consensus, the next level is applications. I mean, CryptoKitties, I mean, bless the Ethereum guys, they're the real pioneers of all this stuff, in my opinion. And they're all geniuses, but CryptoKitties broke the network, right? So we can't get dApps until we get fast consensus. And Hashgraph is so far above and beyond anything else in the market, you can run Satori as a decentralized dApp sort of compute protocol, if you will, with Hashgraph giving permission for Satori to kind of operate. So that's the big difference. And I think that a lot of these guys doing on the decentralized computing are biting off like way too much. So I don't want to name names, but none of them are live. And none of them have a testnet even. So this actually works, right? So I think that we're approaching it from the right side, because I see a stack anyways. There's a consensus stack, and then there's an application stack.
Yeah. So you've got a lot going on. What do you most need and want from the crypto community? How can people here help Satori grow and succeed?
Well, you know what? I've been in startups for a long time, right? This is my second startup. I've been doing startups for almost 15 years now. And I was there at the very beginning of mobile. We were the first free-to-play developers on iOS in January of 2009. So I've seen a wave before. I know what it looks like. I remember being there. I mean, back then a mobile game would, like the #1 game would make like $20,000 a day, right? And now they're, you know, millions. And I know what one looks like, and everybody here is smart, I'll just tell you that much. Because what's weird about Silicon Valley right now is they kind of don't get it. And you're looking at a $300 billion-ish market cap, even right now, even with the markets getting beat up. It's still $300 billion. And everybody's got a big question mark over their head. Like, what is this? I know what I'm looking at. This is by far, this is the biggest technology wave, at least on the internet, probably ever. And if you look at what's happening outside, and the number of things that are being disrupted, and the number of, the sheer number of industries, from banking to video games to computing, like literally everything. The energy is just, I've never seen anything like it. Everybody desperately wants this space to work. So we should be live later this year, and we definitely want to build a large mining network, because I want to be able to do some pretty awesome decentralized distributed computing. So we'll be releasing that, hopefully. And in general, the well wishes and the attitude of the community, it's a real pleasure to be at something like this, because I can tell you what it's like. You know, I had some success in the mobile space, and you go to a conference there, it's like cutthroat. You know, it's not the same. So I'm just happy that I can play a part in the community, and I hope that I can deliver something that's impressive.
That's great, thank you. So just as we wrap up here, for anyone who doesn't know DNA, we're principal investing, asset management, investment banking, and consulting based in Santa Monica and in San Juan, Puerto Rico. You can find us at dna.fund. I'm president and chief investment officer of that firm. Gabe, if people want to learn more about Satori, what should they do? Where should they go?
The best way is the Telegram channel. So lit by Satori on Telegram. Please join it. Tell your friends. And we're going to have a lot of news, a lot of interesting things. We're going to be launching new games on the Satori platform. So we didn't get to talk about this, but very briefly, video games are about to dominate blockchain over the next 2 to 3 years. It's the most natural fit. We don't have to wait for the finance industry to get it. We could just do it tomorrow. And we've been developing a blockchain game that I think is going to be really big. We're the only mobile gaming company to make 3 multi-billion-dollar titles. And my next game is based on Satori, blockchain-based, digital asset trading. I'm going all in on this because I know there's no going back. So video games are going to be really, really big. So we have a lot of projects, a lot of different things that we're working on. We're taking it very seriously. So please follow us on our channel. Or if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or talk to me after the session.
Great. Thank you so much, Gabe. Thanks, everybody.